Bitcoin singing a summer lullaby. When will it wake up? The best analysts in the space are going to tell you today on Around the Charts. Question everything, trust nothing. Welcome to Debate Crypto. Question everything, trust nothing. It's your boy, CryptoKeeper. How is everybody doing? It's been a little while since I've streamed. So, excited to get back at it. Excited to do an Around the Charts TA Thursday. We got some great guests, as always, today. We're going to get into it with somebody I was just hanging out with down in the FL, Florida, down in Miami, the MIA, Evan Aldo. Evan, why can I not see you?
Great to be. No, you see me. Well, I see myself.
There we go. Okay. Well, it was like a black screen, and your little thing went red there for a second. Good to see you again, brother. Glad that you're here. Who else we got in the house? We've got, as always, Magic Internet Money Magic. What's popping?
Well, not much, man. How we doing?
Doing well, brother. And then a good friend of the show, as always, Bill Noble. Bill, how is your day going, brother?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you, as always. We're going to dive into the charts, as always. Make sure that you smash the likes. Turn on the bell notifications so that you know we are going live. I forgot to push out a tweet. I think some of my other compadres here might have pushed out a tweet. So if you do see a tweet, make sure to retweet that. Let people know that we are live. All right, let's take a look. Let's start off, check out the market cap, see what's going on over there, and we'll get it started. So we have the current market cap at 1.10 trillion with a T dollars. That's up 0.07%. Bitcoin, like I said, putting people to sleep, 26,359, up 0.41%, down 0.81% on the 7-day. That is not what we call volatility. ETH, 1805, doing about the same thing. It is up over 1% on the week. Rolling through the rest of the top 10, guys, it is summer lullaby for sure. Polygon Matic's got the largest move in the top 10, up 2.65%. And I want to start off with, gentlemen, do you believe that, obviously on TA Thursday, we focus on Bitcoin, we focus on traditional markets, things of that nature to where, we speculate a little bit. Do we believe that all of the liquidity right now is pushing into all these meme coins? Because I'm telling you, I see massive amounts of money going into a lot of just crap projects. Do we think money is actually like moving towards these meme coins right now? People are just trying to capitalize on it. Evan, what do you think?
Oh man, I think they're just going to make some good eggs. The liquidity, from my experience, having seen this happen when Doge went to the moon, when Shiba went to the moon. Everybody wants that piece of the pie, but people don't realize, at best, after the main catalyst of the meme coins, which was Pepe, comes up, gives you that 20x. At best, you could get some pump and dumps where maybe it goes up 5 or 10x in 2 hours and then, all the way back down. I mean, at this point, it's just gambling. I'd be very surprised if you could see another Pepe. It's just those opportunities don't come around very often. I think those people are just going to be nice eggs of liquidity, and then they're going to get punished. And then they're probably just going to start buying Bitcoin, which is going to lead the Bitcoin dominance higher.
Yeah, we have. So I've never been the G-Gen guy. If you guys have been paying attention to my TikTok recently, I've been playing around with some of this stuff, just trying to, it's a D-Gen bag, right? I'm prepared to lose it. It's funny money. It's gambling money, whatever you want to call it. Crusader and I today were trying to jump into one just to give you guys an idea of how fast this stuff is getting snatched up. At noon, immediately at noon, Crusader's sitting there and he's updating. The contract goes live. He clicks buy. Right, I had sent him over some ETH, and we were just going to make a couple buys real quick. The project, I'm not even going to call it out because I'm not trying to pump anything. The project was collecting like 168 ETH as basically as a pre-sale of sorts, and within less than a minute, it was gone. But I was telling Evan earlier before the show, I think they maybe playing some games with some bots in the background. Magic, what are your thoughts on all the craziness with the meme markets? Do you think it's actually affecting Bitcoin, or do you think this is just the market doing what the market's doing?
I think it's just part of the market. I honestly couldn't care less about the meme coins. You know that. So business as usual.
Okay, well, let's talk about what everyone else is talking about regarding meme coins. I mean, I think to anybody trained in technical analysis, you see this like speculative excess and you go, this is going to end badly.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you've heard that. That's probably true.
Mhm.
But is there another angle? And here it
Okay.
is. Sometimes when you get a broader rally in any market, this happened in stocks in 2009, the trash is the first thing to rally, right? The stuff, like people think that, oh, when a gigantic bear market is over with, right? Or you're going to start a bull phase, that it's started by the blue chips. In fact, in stock market history, it's always started by the small caps and the trash.
Okay.
I kind of think crypto is going to have a hard time in June.
Yeah.
Sitting here today looking at this going, wow, what happens if this meme coin thing, it doesn't have to lead the whole market, but what happens if it doesn't end as badly as you think it might? I mean, people are going to get rugged.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, if you look at Ben, like if no one is selling Ben, is anyone going to sell Bitcoin? It's a rhetorical question.
Right. No, for sure. I'm with you. And I do think that there are some projects out there that started as a meme token that we're starting to see people add utility to. So I think that it does have its place. But, when I get into these, I'm just with the understanding that I am full on just gambling. I don't believe in it like I believe in Bitcoin or Ethereum or other assets. I'm not running TA on these. It's like, hey, I get a phone call, check this one out. Okay, cool. Thanks for the heads up. Boom, bam, slam. Give it a shot. See what happens. So be careful out there. Make sure listen, this is financial advice. Do not put money in that you need into any of this because there is no guarantee, even with the phone call, even with the heads up, that you're not going to get absolutely smoked on some of these projects. So be careful. They are definitely high risk. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk markets, real markets here. I want to kick it off with you, Bill. I like to kick things off with checking in on the traditional markets. We talk about it a lot, how that generally, at least for now, leads us towards what crypto is doing. Talk to me about what the Dixie, how that looks right now, and some other factors in traditional markets. What are you watching? How could they affect Bitcoin's trajectory? Walk me through that a little bit.
Okay, so let me share screen here.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, this is long bond futures. And as you can see, it's going full altcoin. It looks like crypto. It's down only, except this is the 30-year bond. So the United States is losing credibility fast, right?
That's a fact.
Okay. Now, one of the reasons why is because, assuming they don't default, which is a bad assumption, this is now Dixie.
Did you say that's a bad assumption that we don't default? You think we might default for the first time ever?
Yeah. It's very simple.
Okay.
It's like 2 words: Target and Bud Light. Right. In other words, the right is now
woke.
Right. The Target. I'm sorry. The right is pushing back against the left. It doesn't matter what side you're on.
Yeah.
McCarthy has no incentive. He doesn't care about America. He just cares about punching Joe Biden in the face. And I mean that in a neutral sense.
Yeah.
So people are saying to themselves, well, the bond market's no good. And in the Dixie, if I can't borrow dollars, because remember, they're eventually going to have to borrow a lot of money, either with egg on their face or not.
Yep.
And when they have to borrow all the money in the world, the private sector is going to get crowded out. So if they can't borrow dollars, they got to buy them.
Yeah.
And this is what, this is what's holding back Bitcoin. But then again, Bitcoin kind of holds like a champ, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got a 3-point rally in DXY, Bitcoin's holding.
Yeah. It's actually been holding exceptionally well, which brings me to my next question. I want to throw this over to you, Magic. The volatility of Bitcoin has been just absolutely exceptionally low. Talk to me about why you believe that is, and what are the charts telling you in relation to how you believe Bitcoin's going to react in the short term?
I mean, I kind of disagree with you on the volatility aspect. We just kind of we just had a big old nuke down just the other day. I mean, realistically, what you're looking at is build up of open interest through positions. So we actually put out a pretty quick content piece yesterday. Max went over it with the order flow, basically just talking about how if you were paying attention to the open interest and where the most trapped traders were, they were longs. So it made the most sense to flush. We had some poor lows anyway. We've been hammering home just from a market structure wise. So it was one of those things where we knew the move down was coming, and about 26.1 was realistically where we're targeting. Now it becomes a case of if we don't start reclaiming some of these levels, then yeah, you're probably going to see further downside. And it's just more of a sign of weakness at that point in the market. So in terms of volatility, the volatility is there in pockets. We got kind of spoiled this whole move up, I guess, because for a while there, I mean, Bitcoin, all it did for the first couple months of the year was just rip. Everything was up. That's all you had to do was find a good long setup and go.
And when it would move down, it'd be a pretty quick little move. Like there was a lot more. I guess there was a lot more volatility than it seemed lately, right? I mean, I know we had the dump recently, but there was a lot more. You're right, earlier on in the year for sure.
We did the opposite the other day when we pushed up to like 27.1 and then up to like 27.4. If you were paying attention to order flow, open interest, and where the money's coming in at, you kind of knew that you were going to get that push up, and realistically, then you had to hang on to 27.1. If not, those longs that had come in late were probably going to get punished, and taking the lows is going to be the best way to force them out. So,
where are you finding that info? Where's a couple places for people that are watching? They hear you talk about order flow. Like where are you finding this information? Is this something incredibly expensive application that you're using, or where can they find it?
You can go to like exocharts.com. We don't have any affiliation with any of these. ATAS. What you're going to want to look for is footprint. That's realistically what you're doing, is you're reading the footprint chart. And you're just looking at buyers and sellers to determine what's actually happening real time so that you can make a decision. Now, within a vacuum, you can actually start to make decisions on the higher time frame, saying, okay, well, I can see that someone's absorbing price here. We're at a major resistance. It'd be better for me to head short, as this is a large target, so it might be good for a swing position over time, especially if it's like a big range, things like that. So, you can go there. There is some good open interest indicators on TradingView that are coming out that are aggregated. So it's not like limited to one exchange like Binance or we used to use Bybit only. Now we don't, because Bybit data has just gotten absolutely demolished after the KYC thing. So if you can find an aggregate OI indicator, that's a good one. I think there's a couple on TradingView that are available.
Okay. Cool. I always like to educate. I actually have a question here in a little bit that I'm going to be asking, I think, Evan. I like to make sure that the people are, when they walk away from here, they not only know where you, the experts, believe things could be possibly headed, but hey, how do I actually access this data? So thanks for throwing that out there. Evan, looking at the charts currently, looking at specifics, right? Is there an entry point for either a long or a short that you're specifically looking for, and can you walk me through it?
So yeah, there's a few different things right now, and let me just show you my chart right now. What I want to show you before I give you any like actual entry point is just the macro right here, which I think is very important to look at. Forgive me if it's a lot of lines, but what we're kind of forming right here is, potentially, and shout out to Maddie, the piano Maddie from BitBoy, for showing me this the other day, talking about this potential. We have what could be a very large head and shoulders forming now. Right in the macro, very large head and shoulders forming. If we break down out of this head and shoulders, this bigger one right here, your technical target is going to be around, kind of this area, the 24 range. I think technically it depends on who you talk to. Some people would say 23 something. I like to look at it, where the spiral line pockets are, which are really big places. As you can see, price respects these places. Like, look at this spiral line pocket right there. Price generally respects it. Like, yeah, you came up a little bit higher, but price, it was a big traffic stop right there.
Okay.
Same thing right here. And this is also your 200 weekly moving average right there. That's where we're bouncing off of right now. Out of this wedge right here, your technical target is going to be right at 24.4. We also broke out of this volume trading area. That's a volume area high, volume area low. If you do the average volume here, this is like a big point. Usually when you break out of these parallel channels like this where price is going, you could just draw this for a technical target. That's another technical target, which would give you, a similar place right around here. This one right here is a technical target for the neckline. So when a lot of things are telling you the same thing, it's very likely it's going to happen. Now, how could you trade this? You could do a potential kind of swing short position if I'm already short out of this, but you could do something, from where we are right now, put a stop loss, I would say above the swing high. You could even put a stop loss above a major point, such as a point of control right there. And you could do a first take profit around this area. This is a pretty good risk reward ratio. It's all a game of probability. Don't get real angry at me if this loses. I do a lot of trades. All you need to do is be over 50% and use good risk management to get it right in the long term. that's a more swing entry that you may have to wait till maybe sometime in June to even have an outcome.
A little patience with that.
Yeah. Nobody has patience.
No one has patience in 2023. Let me just
let me show you what a trade that I'm in right now, a trade that I took this morning. I signaled this out, so I have proof that I actually took this trade. And this is just textbook market cipher right here. I combine a lot of traditional TA with market cipher, and I use market cipher as confluence a lot of times. So look at the reverse head and shoulders that I drew. Let's get out this to make it a little simplified. Reverse head and shoulders right there. Your technical target out of this is going to be around this spiral line. If you draw it from the end of these wicks, you could come up to this volume area low right here, which is also a big point. So I entered the trade this morning. I signaled it out kind of right before this pump. I was up early at 7 a.m.
We're at about 26.2, somewhere around there.
Yeah, around 26.3. I think I entered 26.2. Okay. First take profit was up at the spiral line. So I'm going to lock in the profit for that trade. I'm going to set my stop loss entry point right here. I'm probably going to take a little bit more as we come up to this volume area low. And then I'm going to maybe try to let it ride. And I also have a swing short in for Bitcoin and also another short for Ethan at the same time. So it's all about kind of hedging your bets. It gets complicated in that aspect. So it's kind of what it's all about. So obviously trading, you got to know what you're doing. It's a lot to learn.
Yeah. We were talking before the show, Evan and I were about just like some other ways in the crypto space to make money, whether it's mining or whether it's trading. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is, and I think I know probably all of you can relate to this. I know Magic for sure can relate to this. These guys spend a lot of time sitting in front of a computer and actively watching charts. This is not something where you sit down and you're like, I'll spend an hour right now randomly and just go ahead and toss in a trade here and there. No, these guys are studying these charts, understand volume profiles, understand where these markets traditionally will head off of a certain pattern or position or a certain entry point or exit point, knowing where to set a stop loss. There's a lot that goes into trading. And so I hope that we provide value here on Debate Crypto by bringing these experts on that are showing you some of the things that they do. I wish everybody the best of luck in trading. Let me stop real quick. First of all, smash that like if you haven't done it already. You better be following all three of these creators. They're spending their time over here with Debate Crypto to bring you guys the alpha. So make sure that you do that. Let me jump into the chat real quick. I didn't say hi earlier. I apologize, a little off my game. Who was first in there? Metabice, I believe, was first today. What's going on? Brad Geidel, wrong again. What's this one? With Dat Beans Fed featuring Wick. I think that's just my boy Wick. But good to see you, B Team Crypto, Jeff Blyer. Hey, listen, everybody in the chat, we appreciate you for your support. Turn on those bell notifications. And again, follow all the other creators. All right, let's get back to it. So I love asking Bill because this is something that he does that's different than you hear from just about anybody else. I like asking Bill about the stars. So Bill, talk to me. What kind of astrology stuff do we have going on that's and what kind of suggestions might we make coming from that information? What are the stars telling us about the crypto markets?
Okay, so I got into William Gann's book, The Tunnel Through the Air, through ChatGPT. Okay. And let's maybe focus on the United States. So in the United States, you've got something called the Pluto Return. Okay, Pluto's, far away, takes a long time to go around the sun. And the last time Pluto looked the way it did right now was 1776. Right? It's even in the same section of space, right, as the Declaration of Independence, and the section of space that Pluto is in signals revolution, freedom, and innovation. So you have like a destroyer planet in the freedom and innovation and revolution section. So if you've heard Ray Dalio, he kind of talks about, America's an empire over here, debt ceiling collapse, a run on the Fed. Empires have a 250-year cycle. Well, this is where he got it from. Okay. The Pluto return for Rome was 250 CE. Right. So they lasted 250 years. We last 250 years. And I think things are pretty simple. When you look at what's going on for the United States, when you look at what's going on with Jupiter, which expands everything, like NVIDIA, the chip company today, the increase in NVIDIA's market cap is larger than the GDP of Greece. the increase, the one-day
Hold on, say that again. The increase of Nvidia's market cap,
right, is equal to is greater than the GDP of Greece.
Good Lord. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. That's like the one AI play. And I'm actually arguing for the decentralized AI plays anyway. Right. So you've got Revolution, you can expand good things like Nvidia, and you can expand bad things like Bud Light to Target to the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
Whatever's out there gets expanded, and we're in trouble, man. This is the prepper channel.
Yeah.
Like the United States is making big mistakes. And honestly, I'm like, yes, Bitcoin can go lower. I mean, you can draw every chart in the world that says this should go lower. But I'm almost like, I mean, if Bitcoin's at 100 in October, are you going to say, wow, gee, I sat around at 26 and waited for 22? I mean, I know serious traders have to take a different approach, but the Pluto return is your GAN flavor of the day.
I'll tell you what, I see 100K Bitcoin in October. I'm going to tell it right now. I'm taking some freaking profits. I promise you that. I'm not making that mistake again. I am taking some freaking profits. That would be exciting for sure. No, I appreciate, Bill, that you look at just kind of some different ways of viewing what's happening. And it's just crazy. I've talked about this before, but as much as I still don't know that I'm a believer, right? I see a lot of freaking correlation with the things that are brought up. And I've seen other people call out on these moon cycles with what Bitcoin's doing and, talking about how markets are energy. And this obviously is energy, centric. I think it's a really wild idea that if you're able to be successful trading around it, hey, more power to you. That's super dope. Let me shift gears a little bit. Well, just a little bit. Well, a lot of it actually first, because I want to throw this curveball at everybody. What do we think about Ron DeSantis running for president? Do we think that this is going to be bullish or bearish for the crypto space, for one? And for two, I have a thought process that it might be a bad thing overall if you wanted a Republican to get in office, because we could start possibly seeing some votes being split. I don't think the hardcore Trumpers are going to go anywhere. But I think that there's a lot of people that disliked Donald Trump enough to, just look for a better, in their view, Republican option. Do we see this as being part of a larger problem in the Republican side of the House? Thoughts? I don't care who kicks it off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to affect crypto too much, but I think ultimately, I just personally think Trump's base is just too freaking strong. I think it's going to be kind of a big fight between Trump and DeSantis. And I feel like Trump always finds a way, no matter what, like to win. And I think it's just going to end badly for DeSantis. And Trump's going to get that nomination most likely. If you do see something wild happen and like Ron gets the nomination, I think, who was it? Charles Hodgkin, the creator of Cardano, posted like, if that does happen, he believes that Trump's going to run as an independent and split the vote, which that would obviously Biden would win in that circumstances. So I think you would see a ton of volatility in that type of scenario. But ultimately, I think it's going to be a rematch of Trump and Biden.
And you know what? It's also, let me throw this out there. We're keeping it somewhat crypto-centric. Historically, election years, the markets are doing well because the participants want to show that strength, right, surrounding things that they're doing and their agenda and whatnot. So I'll be interested to see if we're able to weather some of the storm that I believe that we're about to step into and actually see that play out again. I believe Bill had mentioned, the debt ceiling that we ultimately might default on that money. I think we're going to kick the can down the road. We're going to print $1 trillion platinum coin or whatever they're going to call it. And that's going to be that. But, we do have both sides fighting about it. Magic, you get into any of the political side of things at all?
I mean, I think I would rather eat my shoe than have Trump or Biden back in office, to be honest with you. So
hold on now. Trump was a good businessman and our economy was better than ever.
I would rather just not have either one of them, to be upfront with you. I wish we could just get intelligent people in there, but it's a no-go. So
okay.
It is what it is.
Don't care about either of them. Bill, what are your thoughts on what's happening?
Okay, so I think there's something very powerful going on that's ridiculously pro-crypto.
Okay.
So DeSantis has good ideas, but, nobody is better than Trump in front of a crowd. In other words, yes, I'm not sure about Trump as a leader, but man, you give this guy a podium in a crowd and forget about it, right?
Yeah.
So DeSantis is probably going to be the Republican nominee. Trump and RFK Jr. are going to run as independents. So it's like algebra. Trump on the right cancels out Biden on the left. That leaves two guys in the middle, RFK and DeSantis. What's the difference? It's whoever gets the crypto vote. It's whoever gets the crypto vote.
You think we have enough? You think we have enough people in crypto to ultimately sway an election?
Yeah, because if you look at the electorate, I mean, every single election involves recounts, right? Everything is like, 49 to 49 to 51, right? It's like, straight down the middle. So, whoever gets the crypto vote wins, right?
That's an interesting take. It's hard for me because I don't like to vote just right or left. I've seen what's happened with who's been in office. That's been a freaking nightmare. I don't think anybody, whether you're right or left, could argue that. But I think that Donald Trump is going to change his stance on Bitcoin. I think that we're going to see it.
100%.
I don't know whether it's going to be an actual real change of heart, or maybe originally, just like all these other clowns do, maybe he actually did believe in the idea, but he loves the dollar so much that it was, threatening to the almighty dollar. I think he's going to have to change his stance, though, because I think the reality is people are recognizing crypto is the future. Blockchain is the future. It is where we're headed, and they're going to have to take some sort of a stance. They're not just going to be able to, I'll sit this one out. I don't really have an opinion on it. I think it's definitely going to be something they're going to have to talk about. Do you guys think it'll be a talking point?
Oh, absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
So they're going to have to talk about it every day.
Yeah.
I mean, they need 6-figure Bitcoin to embarrass Biden and the left.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I definitely want to change for sure. All right, let's switch gears out of the political side of things. Magic. So I want to talk about the 1 million active addresses for Bitcoin holders. So that milestone just got reached recently. Is there anything on the charts that you see that would lead you to believe that information is bullish or bearish? We've been in this consolidation. Yeah, we had a big dip recently, but is there anything that would lead you to believe that with as many people are as now Bitcoin holders, that's going to be a bullish or bearish thing for actual price action?
No.
Nothing.
I mean, no. Okay. I don't know any serious trader that would use that for any kind of indicator for anything. It's a fundamental thing to talk about, and I think it's why we're all here. We like to see adoption happening, but no, it's not going to be reflected in the charts, in my opinion. So
if it was 10 million, still not thinking
honestly, dude, I pay zero attention to any of that. I trade my levels, I trade my charts and my TA. I don't care about how many active users there are. I don't care who's buying and selling long-term, short-term holders. I don't pay attention to on-chain. It's just not necessary.
Ultimately, the only thing that we would really see from it most likely would be the market cap moving just overall. You're saying it's not probably going to affect because you're not going to have 10 million new users that are actively trading.
All this data gets priced in almost immediately is the thing. It's not going to give you an edge in the market. What's going to give you an edge in the market is realistically recognizing strength in a chart prior to this and then positioning yourself accordingly. Those are the things that are actionable. In terms of reading that, it's fun to say because it is exciting and it keeps you in the space and it keeps people from leaving because they're like, hey, look at this adoption that's happening. We're growing faster than the internet or whatever it may be. Right. But all those things do get reflected. Strong fundamentals are reflected in the charts. That's why when people say, do you care about fundamentals with these projects? I always say no. I like strong charts. Good charts are reflective of strong fundamentals. There are people out there that have their nose to the grind, you could say, or the ground, I guess, and they can find those fundamental gems before, they really take off, but generally it's because they have some kind of, leg up on you in terms of the information, game of telephone. They get that information before you do, or the rest of the market does in that case.
Right.
Rarely is it just something that, you're like, if I go to the on-chain metrics and I start looking for who's holding what, I'm going to have the overall advantage, especially on an asset like Bitcoin of this size. If it's like a small cap, potentially you could do that, but I don't think you can do something like that with Bitcoin. So for me, Do I think Bitcoin's bullish here? I mean, you're back testing your Monday low. You're back testing 2 huge averages, the value area low of the overall range. If you don't make that happen, it's really just a bearish back test. The best setup right now would be a head short from that position with a stop loss above that high. But if you reclaim the range, then you've got the opposing side. You have trades either way. It's just a matter of, again, reading the chart and then positioning yourself. Because if you take a position based on what you just said, where's your stop loss? Where is your take profit for that? You know what I mean? As a trader, I can't utilize that information. So
yeah. I love how emotionally detached you're able to keep yourself from anything other than what the freaking chart looks like. It's one of the things that I love about having you on the show. There's no side mess or turns or twists. It's like, hey, this is what the chart says. That's what I'm going with. You don't get attached to anything in that regard. I think that's actually a really good thing. It's probably what makes you such a successful trader, a part of it. All right, Evan, love to educate people on the stream. And I know as I hear you speak, you know a lot of indicators, and we as traders use indicators. Now, I'm not just saying when I say indicator, I'm not saying like market cipher. I'm talking like Bollinger Bands and things of that nature, right? So talk to me about a few indicators, because I want to educate people as well while they're on here. Talk to me about a few indicators that you feel are reliable for trading for you, and then tell me what they are and just basically how they work. Because I think a lot of times people will be on the stream, especially when it's somebody new, they'll hear you guys refer to some of these indicators and have no idea like what it actually is.
Yes, there's quite a few that I look at. It's mainly, if you look at my chart here, I mean, the money flow on Market Cipher is a big thing, and good curvature with money flow. And you could use this. I mean, you could obviously use this for trading, short-term trading, but you could also use this for long-term accumulation too, which I'll show you just in a second. This is a nice textbook, Market Cipher strategy. Momentum waves, these are based off of kind of moving averages mainly. These are good things. Momentum waves coming up with money flow coming up. It's going to be bullish signs trading on kind of lower time frames, just like this brought us up right here. If we do look at I like to show people stuff for long term too, because obviously, you can make a lot long term as well. You could even make, in a nice altcoin run up where you're getting things that are going up 10x, 20x. There could be signs, things that are showing you when to kind of DCA in. If we look at money flow here on Market Cipher B, look at this entry point. Look at this DCA opportunity where money flow dipped into the red back here in 2019 into 2020. Such a beautiful DCA entry. Your average buy-in price would have been like 8 or 9K, and you would have done very, very well. We're kind of in that same point. That's why I started DCAing back actually right around December, then started up again in February. And I'm planning on going until later this year, kind of early next year, based on this thing, or until kind of money flow comes into the green here for a really good opportunity, just like that. Another thing that's huge for trading that I really like is EMAs up here on Market Cipher A. These are beautiful. I mean, we could look at these EMAs showing us right here how it goes to red to when you get into the gray. That's a good buying opportunity. Same here. That's a good DCA opportunity. If you have some more longer term swing trade, I mean, you would have to wait months and months for this to play out and bring you up above them here. Now it may come down farther again. These are big things to look at. And we can look at lower time frames too. The 4 hour on the EMAs is huge here on Market Cipher B. Look at like these EMAs bright and then coming into the red, the gray right there, coming down. It doesn't always work, but a lot of times here, use them as confluence, especially with money flow coming up, combined with these EMAs turning bright, a nice, day swing long kind of in that area. Same thing kind of over here. Look at it with the money flow coming down. Good gauge of the market. Nothing's going to be right all the time, but and you could even look here. I mean, it was coming up, but your EMAs weren't even turning bright. They finally turned bright after money flow was kind of overheated. Then they came right back into the gray. So getting choppy here. We'll see what happens. Daily is also really, really good for that. It's probably even better than the 4 hour really for on the macro. I mean, look at that coming into the gray right there while money flow is coming out. Same thing right over here. This is like big, like swing trading opportunities, money flow coming up. It's not going to work all the time, but it's definitely works more than half the time. That's all you really need. As long as you're a disciplined, investor, disciplined trader, you could do well with that. So that's a lot of big things. Combined with that, I mean, the next big thing I use is just traditional TA stuff. Like you'll see Gareth Soloway or there's a lot of good traditional traders too. Head and shoulders. I mean, head and shoulders, reverse head and shoulders, double top patterns, those type of things I do use in conjunction with all of this. Volume, this is a free thing that you could do. Just look at volume points right here. I'll just show you fixed volume range profile. Go from here to here. this is how, see, volume area high, volume area low right there. This was a previous one. I should delete this off of my chart, but see, and then the point of control in the middle. These are strong points as well. So that's pretty much, unless I'm forgetting something here, that's pretty much all that I look at in terms of indicators.
Yeah. I when getting into, let me take this off here. When I do trade, because I don't trade actively all the time, I feel like the indicators are helpful. But I also think the reason I ask that is I think it's helpful to understand, like, for real, what they are actually showing you, not just hey, if they get tighter, then you should do. You know what I'm saying? Like having an actual fundamental understanding why. If we see money flow starting to have a little bit of a curve from a bottom towards it, why is that important? Well, there's money flowing in to the asset. We're looking at, like, when Magic talks about the volume profiles. Well, if money's flowing in, we're probably going to see some volume coming in. It's just I think that all these indicators are important. You got to figure out which ones work for you and then rock out with it. So I appreciate that. So, Bill, sell in May, walk away. We've talked about it. We've talked about it numerous times. It is May 25th. Are we still, now we've seen a dump, right? But not a huge dump. Are we still thinking, and again, it could be the start of June, it could be whatever, but are you still effectively in this time frame thinking that we are in for that scenario, or are the charts telling us something different?
Okay, the short answer is yes. I mean, my scenario was, sell Memorial Day and come back for, in July,
Okay.
That said, I mean, the bond market's falling apart and Bitcoin's not moving, right? You can have 7 more down days based on this, but if you go to like a 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, where I kind of, I get my magic on, you got a lot of support down here at 26. Okay. This oscillator here, it's kind of funny in the DeMark system. They're calling it the psychological line, which is funny. It's like a combination of oscillators. Okay. DeMark is usually pretty complicated. So, psychologically, Bitcoin actually got oversold after they did the dump. So should you sell in May? I think if you got small cap profits and, you made money in like Ron DeSantis coin, okay, maybe taking some of that money is a good idea. Okay, sorry. But I'm not sure that, like, everyone's like, oh, you're going to get 20. Gee, if we got 20, that'd be great. Listen, dude, this Pluto Return thing, the United States, Bud Light, Target, it's actually getting hard. Like, yes, objectively, sell Memorial Day, buy July 4th. When I think about it and I look at some of these charts, I'm like, wow.
Are you planning on sitting the month of June effectively out?
Yeah, and I'm miserable. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta be long. Yeah, I remember this in 2008. These things that everyone knows is going to happen.
Yeah,
waiting for them is the toughness of the trade, right? It's obvious what's going to happen.
Right.
Waiting for your like magic style entry point. Yeah. That's the key, right? Because you don't want to get stopped out where you should be buying it.
It's part of the reason why we see so many people walk away. Part of the reason why the numbers are down in YouTube, for example, views are down. All of that is because people just get discouraged or they get bored to death because it's just not a lot of action. It's part of the reason why we see a lot of people like it's playing with, the meme coins, etc. It's something fun and exciting to do, and it keeps your attention or whatnot. So trading, we always look at Magic as opportunities for trading. Magic, tell me, if you were to get into a trade right now, what specifics would you be looking for?
I just took a short scalp, but I'll show my screen here and we'll kind of talk about it.
Yeah, show it to me.
I always like to hide the camera for that. For some reason, it always just comes across better without the camera.
Okay, that's fine. I'm pulling it right now. There we go.
Yeah, so realistically, I've got like one zone marked here. I'll start on the weekly. And the reason I am is you've got a couple important areas to mark off. It's really ideal to know where you're at. And I always tell people you should start with almost a blank chart. Not every day, but it's a really good habit to do every now and then. So straight away, you've got your previous week data right here. Okay, so you do have a very important low. Previous week low is going to be more of a trigger. And let's make this different color. And we'll actually mark it so that we don't get lost here. So your previous week low, you can see that you're going to be bouncing around this level. It is going to serve as your daily point of control most likely as well for the day. After that, you're really just looking for the Monday low, which I've already actually marked them out because I've been trading off of them. This was Monday. And this is just a very simple, like old style Forex strategy where you get back inside Monday low, you target the Monday high type thing. Not always relevant, but fairly relevant today, mainly because as you start, getting into the low time frames, you can see that, well, it starts lining up at that support that we've really been hammering on for so long. But also, if you looked at the average of the price for the week so far, so if we were looking at average of price for the entire week, meaning our next weekly pivot that would appear, it's going to be right here at about 26.6, giving us the indication that if we can actually get back in this, it would be, somewhat logical to maybe make this run up to 27.1, which then we'd have to determine if our bias is better. So for right now, this is a good place to be looking for potentially scalp shorts. And then you would just do something kind of like Evan was talking about. You've got all kinds of tools that you can look for to take profit, things like that. You can run a volume profile, whatever it may be. You're going to want to target things like your point of control, which is the previous week low here. So that would be how I handle things right now. If I was looking for a trade and I had to have one on an intraday basis, this would be the trading area I was looking for. So that is going to be the area to take a short and start looking for things like this. And then you can let it ride and then target like your local lows. And if it makes that move all the way down to like 24/7, you've turned a day trade into a swing trade. But given the risk to reward and where we're at, I do think a person has to be ready to take profit early, mainly because, you're at the bottom of the range. So while this could give you a nice rejection all the way back to here, it's very probable it could also do this. So you do have to lock in some profit at the first, available spot, which is not a bad idea anytime you're trading. That way, if you get stomped out of the trade, it's either still a winner or you're breaking even, but you've left some skin in the game so that if you wanted to try to take this further down than, the almost 1% on the day trade, maybe you can take it down to the low. That's what I did yesterday. I took profits here at the low. Once we made a new one, I think it was USDT pairing made a new one. The USD pairing did not, but that could easily turn into something like this if that happens. But, to the flip side of that, you were just talking about how we've been, by and large range bound. We did have a break of the range here, but we are seeing a failure to get continuation just yet. So continuation does need to take place. That's why you take profits early, because if it does not, then you run the opportunity of playing both sides of the market. You could very easily map this out. If you start getting back above here, breaking back into this range, you could very easily start working this out as I'm going to target the next local high above this here and maybe even higher after that. I would almost anticipate a full range rotation. So there are several trades that are available. My bias is that we're going to get a mean reversion still to about 24/7. It's just we're so close to that. You have to look at the risk to reward at this point. So if you can find a local setup, it's advantageous to take a short in this region, which we're getting now. But if if that setup fails, you should be prepared to trade at the opposite direction. And there's nothing wrong with that. And being wrong and minimizing a loss and then taking advantage of the next opportunity, as long as you're planning for it. You can't just jump into a new trade just to jump into one. Right. You have to have that set out. But yeah, that's how I would be trading right now. Is I would just be using the old Monday low, knowing that our weekly averages here. And one thing to know about those pivots and averages they are literally just the average of price for that session. So from the opening of this week to now, the high-low close divided by 3 is where this line is at. If you're above the average, generally that means that, the average person feels there's enough value in Bitcoin, right? And you should be able to see that in order flow as well. You should see buyers and buying imbalances coming in. And that should be reflective that they feel that they could auction this price higher and you start targeting those other targets. But for me, back to the averages, we look at the quarterlies, and when you look at your quarterly average and where it's coming in at, it's all the way down here. You can see that little orange line, 24/7/13. And we are closing out the quarter at the end of June. And we hit these at a pretty high rate. I believe it's close to 80%. So, 80% chance you come back to the average. And that average started and appeared right here, on the 1st of April. So we are making our way back to it. It's not necessarily the end of this overall move. But if I was a trader, looking for a back test of this is about as clean as it's going to get. But you don't want to fall in love with ideas, because if it does do something like this, you don't want to just be sitting there trying to short this whole move up while it runs the entire range back to like the quarter one high or something. So
yeah, then miss out.
Yeah,
for
hopefully
sure.
that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I always oh, hold on a second. I just actually clicked on something. There we go. I always appreciate your analysis on, and I like the ranges. The ranges and the way that you set up the ranges makes sense to me. It's a overall simple idea. Looking at averages, ranges, volume, like it just makes sense to me, and I appreciate the way that you.
Yeah, we do everything on like a time basis predominantly. I mean, there is some room for like market structure stuff, but like realistically, you should always have a system in place and know what variables are there. So if you use time as a basis, like daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, things like that, or some people use the 60-day cycle, as long as you have that constant, because then you can start building statistics. You can't have constant variables. If you have constant variables, you're going to have very varying successes and failures. You know, you're not going to be able to really quantify them that easily. So you need to be able to do that so you can make appropriate adjustments along the way, things like that. But if you stick to one system, you get better at it over time as well. And you can make adjustments to that system easier if you have that, foundation in place. So
yeah, that's a really good point. Have constant variables. That definitely is a problem, right? You have no way to quantify what's actually being successful, what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. If you just keep changing up what the timeframes are, or that makes a whole lot of sense, dude. I appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense. All right, so we've been seeing the market heading down. We have a lot of people saying that the market is going down, but one in particular, Evan, suggested, and I forget the guy's name, I'm not going to look for it right now, but this guy from Bloomberg, he's an expert, right, on Bitcoin markets, supposedly, and he's calling for a 7K Bitcoin. Now, I didn't use this as clickbait on the title for the stream. I thought about it, but is this just in your eyes, is this just a ridiculous idea, or is there something in the charts right now that says, hey, this is a likely possible, or in fundamentals, whatever the case may be, is that this would be a likely thing to happen, or is it just Fugazi?
I think it's highly, highly unlikely for Bitcoin to come that low. What I can show you in the charts, if you want to, I mean, if you get creative, you could find anything on the charts, but the one thing that I think could potentially be an Armageddon is if you look at the
is actually flow, Armageddon.
Yeah, like money flow market on market side for B right here, similar to kind of this area. This was the whole start of like our bear market. If you were to repeat something of that nature, let's see where that would bring you to. That's around 8K. So if you play around there, I think typically when you have a prediction like that, like 7K, like it never goes to that exact number. It either goes even lower or it doesn't even, it does somewhere above. And I don't think it's going to go lower. Another thing that you could kind of mess around with here that would give you like an Armageddon number is if you take a volume profile from, I think it's like all the way back here to where we are right now. Yeah, this point of control at 9,400. There was also like a CME gap back over. Oh, this was funny.
Somebody said there was a CME gap at like 3K or something like that.
There's one at 9K, I believe. I could be wrong on this. There were a lot of people over here back in September of 2020 that were getting all excited about a CME gap at like I don't know if it was 9,300 or 9K, right? When it was at 9. And they were all like, there's certain people that were just talking about it's going to fill the CME gap. And then you're all, you know what I mean? Then you already pumped at like 40K before they gave up on the CME gap idea. So
I think it partially filled. And that's why people wanted it to fill completely. It was like a 50% fill. And people were like, oh, it has to fill because it already went there. And it was like, because I remember when it happened, I was like, no, partial fills can happen, And so
it's like touching it, but it's not filling the entire gap.
It didn't quite enter it, but it basically filled it for all intents and purposes. But you're correct, because I remember that people were literally screaming about that, and 3K at 9K. There was one at 3K, and people were screaming that we have to fill the 3K gap too. And they screamed that till 20K probably. And then the 9Kers screamed it till basically all-time highs.
Yeah. The thing too is like, I don't know, for like 7K, you're kind of getting into dead asset category. I just want to see what type of correction that is from the all-time high. I'm just curious, like how down that would be if you were to come to 7K. It's about 90% down. I mean, I would never say never. Anything is possible, but I think it's highly unlikely you'd go that low. Yeah. If you did go that low for Bitcoin, you could be getting into the dead asset category where maybe ETH flips its market cap. you know, that takes over, and then Bitcoin is just viewed as old technology, doesn't have the store of value anymore. If we do go into, I don't know, some of Bill's like US defaults on debt, Armageddon scenarios, like maybe if you do a double bottom at 16K and then we get some like US entering Great Depression news, you could like have a, you know, pandemic type drop down and then come right back up or something.
Yeah,
that's what I could see. I think it's highly unlikely.
I think a lot of times when they put these out, it's the same thing as like the YouTube thumbnails, right? It's an opportunity to get somebody to click on the article and read the article. I could see, like you said, I could see there's a way to come up with any sort of conclusion regarding, you could make a case for just about anything, right? But I think a lot of times it's just to get your attention. Hey, we got 100 people in here. Make sure to smash the like. Make sure to follow all of these creators. They are working hard for you. Make sure to turn on the bell notification for each of us as well. All right, gentlemen, the end of the show here. I always like to round it out with kind of 3 quicker questions. I'll start with you, Evan. Bullish or bearish? Let's do let's go short term. Bullish or bearish short term?
I would say, how short term? I gotta
next few weeks. Yeah,
next few weeks. I would say overall bearish. I think most likely, I could be wrong. I think most likely you're going to go down to 24K, 22 to 24K, and start playing around that range.
Magic, you in agreement?
Yeah, that's my bias. As long as we're under, basically, let's just call it 27,000. If you reclaim the range, I can change that. But yeah, until then, I expect to see lower.
Reclaiming 27 would be a good thing for upward action. Bill.
Yeah, man. Sell in May, sell Memorial Day, go away, come back in July, watch it fly. Right. I'm gonna have to unplug the computer and throw the power cord over the fence
so that you don't get back in.
Yeah, so that I don't push the green button, especially while the bond market is falling. Because, like somebody who's saying 7K Bitcoin, like, yes, that would be a disaster for all of risk assets, which is theoretically possible, but you can't have these epic cycles and not have something change. This is why crypto exists.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. All right. So when bull market, are you going to look traditional and say, hey, it's going to start at the start of next year? Are we thinking it's going to be before that? I think you guys actually might have some different answers on this. What do you think, Evan?
I think the 4-year cycle generally so far is kind of repeating and going to hold up, and I don't see any, significant reason, any good reason to believe it won't. So, I mean, it depends how you define bull market. I mean, I think, if we see a double bottom towards the end of the year, or maybe even a lower low, depending on what happens, I think you'll see a green 2024, which would be, more sideways upward 2024, similar to what happened in, 2020 and then 2016, I believe. So I think that's when you're going to get into the next bull run. I think ultimately, if you do see new all-time highs, it's probably going to happen in 2025.
Okay. Magic, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in line with Evan there on like the halving, the whole 4-year cycle with Bitcoin.
Okay. You think he's going to respect it?
Yeah, everybody always says, that the past can't predict the future, things like that, and they are correct. But as of right now, even with the way things are lining up, we have no reason to think that otherwise just yet. So the moment that changes, we get to eat some crow and enjoy a bull market. But
yeah, nobody's going to be mad about that.
No one's going to be mad about it. So yeah, it is
no
what
doubt.
it is.
Bill, I'm kind of thinking you have a different answer, but I don't know for sure. What are your thoughts?
Sure, I think stocks sideways. I think if there's going to be a crash like 2008, it's actually going to be in bonds.
Okay.
And the second you have an 8% mortgage rate, right now it's maybe around 6.5
or 7, something like that. Yeah.
If you have an 8% mortgage rate, just close your eyes, not investment advice, and hoover it up. Because when legacy comes to Bitcoin, remember, we think Bitcoin is like your grandpa's crypto. Okay. Bitcoin is an altcoin to legacy. And when they come, it's just going to be all at once.
Ooh.
It's going to be all at once, right? So, we'll trade like normal ranges, right? But then it'll be a little bit like 2017 where, starting August, September, as this legacy United States problem starts to take over.
Yeah. They're going to rush in.
I just think it's up only. And then, like I said, this thing about the halving, again, it's crypto versus non-crypto, right? Crypto people are like, the supply is going to be reduced in April, right? And legacy people are going to go, oh, I got to get now. just going to hit the green button. You know what I'm saying?
Like
and if they all hit the green button at the same time, you know, strange things can happen. Like the black swan could be Bitcoin up in the administration's face.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Is that called a golden goose then?
Yo, man, that's the golden pocket swan or the golden goose. I mean,
the golden pocket swan.
I like that. You know,
that's funny. All right, gentlemen, to close it out, let's just do a fun one. Highest price prediction. I know some of you hate doing these, but I'm just throwing it out there. Highest you could see Bitcoin going in 2023. Evan.
This year, oh man, it's probably like low 40s, high 30s. Okay. I mean, it's looking like we're probably topped out, but you know, there's always surprises. I think would be around 40.
Magic?
My two targets were, if we were going to go real ham sandwich, was 38,922, and then there is a.
I like bologna better, but I'll go with the ham sandwich, I guess. Ham
sandwich, man. You got to go ham with 2 M's. Then you've got an MPOC right around 49,675, just above local highs that we made last March. Okay. Those would be the 2 areas I'd watch if we break out of this range ever to the upside. But I kind of agree with Evan a little bit. We could be topped out here, and you have to be prepared for that and to trade it the opposite direction. And as Bill said, when the opportunity comes, as he put it, hoover it up, you know, because I do think that if there is a dip of any kind of magnitude, it will be an opportunity potentially. So.
And Bill, I'm going to guess you have a totally different take on this just because you're thinking that, hey, we might be getting legacy just absolutely diving in. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I had a ChatGPT number of 86, right? I could talk about 100, but I think, you sound like a moon boy. I mean, there's $17 trillion in the U.S. banking system. If 1% of that makes its way into crypto over a 6-month period with volume nil,
it's going to rock.
I mean, it's like, you just get 1% of all this money flooding in. I think it's a new high.
Yeah, that would be absolutely insanity. And then moving into the halving after that, ooh, good gracious. I hope everybody's got their bags packed because we would be headed to the moon in that scenario, depending on how things play out in the other markets. So, well, listen, Crypto Fam, we appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Make sure to smash the like if you haven't already. And please follow these other creators. Turn on the bell notifications for us and for each and every one of them. Gentlemen, appreciate you for coming on as always, bringing the alpha. Just remember, question everything, trust nothing. And until next time, hodl like it's hot. We will see you soon.